HR management has three roles in organisations. The administrative role of HR management is heavily oriented to processing and record keeping, maintaining employee files and HR-related databases, processing employee benefits claims, answering questions about tuition and/or sick leave policies, and compiling and submitting required government reports are all examples of the administrative nature of HR management. In some organisations, these administrative functions are being outsourced to external providers, rather than being done inside the HR departments. Also, technology is being used to automate many of these administrative tasks. Operational activities are tactical in nature, such as staff interviews, training staff, resolving safety problems, and administering wages. A wide variety of the efforts performed are associated with coordinating the management of HR activities with the actions of managers in the organisation. The operational role also requires HR to identify and implement operational programs and policies in the organisation. They are the major implementers of organisational strategic plans developed by top management, rather than being involved in developing the plans. The strategic role of HR management emphasises that the people in an organisation are valuable resources, representing significant organisational investments. Even organisations that are not-for-profit, such as government entities, must manage their human resources as being valuable and in a business-oriented manner. Scholars, including David Ulrich of the University of Michigan, championed the importance of HR as a strategic business partner. This emphasis has several facets to it: enhancing organisational performance, involvement in strategic planning, redesigning organisations and work processes, ensuring financial accountability for HR results, expanding human capital, attracting and retaining human resources, developing human resource capabilities, identifying and rewarding performance, delivering cost-effective compliance systems, HR planning, and during the pandemic, this is extended to maintaining the morale and mental health of staff. Production. During the pandemic, the central focus for HR management must still be on contributing to organisational success. As this figure depicts, key to enhancing organisational performance is ensuring that human resource activities support organisational efforts focusing on productivity, service, and quality. Productivity. As measured by the amount of output per employee, this can be tracked by line managers using daily or weekly roundtable meetings online. The productivity of the human resources in an organisation is affected significantly by management efforts, programs, and systems, and keeping in contact with staff during the pandemic can serve multiple purposes, including not just productivity assessment, but mental health awareness for solitary workers. For some workers, interaction during work is their only social contact during the week. Quality. The quality of products and services delivered significantly affects organisational success over the long term. If an organisation gains a reputation for providing poor quality products and services, it reduces its organisational growth and performance. Quality control has taken a hit during COVID, with new processes and procedures being required to track progress. The pandemic can be used as an incentive for companies to update and lean manage their current processes to make them more robust and accurate for post-pandemic business. Service. Because people frequently produce the products or services offered by an organisation, HR management considerations must be included when identifying service blockages and redesigning operational processes. Involving all employees, and not just managers, in problem solving often requires changes in corporate culture, leadership styles, and HR policies and practices. The first and main challenge during the pandemic has been to adapt the provision of these products and services within the confines of health and safety guidance. Work-life balance. For many workers, balancing the demands of family and work is a significant challenge. We can use data from the Census Bureau in the US, which states that families and households today can be described as follows. The traditional family represents only 10% or less of today's households. The number of households of married couples with no children living at home is growing and represents more households than those of married couples with children. Dual career couples compose about 60% of all married couples. Households headed by a single parent make up almost 30% of all families. 70% of all women with children under 6 are in the workforce. A majority of both men and women aged 18 to 24 still live with their parents or are considered dependents. The decline of the traditional family and the increasing numbers of dual career couples and working single parents places more stress on employees to balance family and work. HR policies that assist employees with children, such as on-site childcare, have been made redundant during the pandemic, and work has taken a backseat to taking care of kids at home. Employer-employee-customer relationship. The importance of the employee-employer relationship is a long-standing idea which stands out as one of the core components of stakeholder capitalism. This is the idea that companies should focus on the need of the stakeholders, such as customers, suppliers, and employees, and not just the shareholders. The importance of employees to their firms, even in an era of increasing automation, is clear. Employees drive innovation, build products, and shape customer experience. Management teams know recruiting the best talent and engaging their workforce matters hugely to the overall success of the business. A notable cost of poor workforce management is a lack of productivity. In Germany, Gallup.com estimates that disengaged workers cost the country's economy approximately 2.5% of the GDP every year. Other costs associated with poor employer-employee relationships relate to dismissal, replacement, retraining, and the opportunity cost of how much an engaged employee might have contributed to the company in the first place. How a company treats its employees has perhaps never been under as much scrutiny as it is now. Schroders, a European equities investment firm, tracks the internal news flows of peer and client businesses and their metrics. This group includes a wide range of businesses. They have identified a 9-fold increase in the number of articles discussing employee pay in April 2020 when compared to a 5-year average. COVID-19 has abruptly forced companies to divert their thinking to solvency and survival, as opposed to growth and employee relations. It is against this backdrop that companies who put their employees first have shined, and vice versa, those companies that have treated employees poorly have done damage to their reputation as a trustworthy and empathetic employer, making the future work of HR staff more difficult. Whilst not all companies have been in a position to respond in the same way, as COVID has impacted industries unequally, there are many encouraging examples of companies meeting the crisis head-on. Carrefour, a food retailer and distributor, has increased salaries and bonuses to its customer-facing shop floor workers. Enel, a gas and electricity provider, has drafted an insurance policy that will cover all 68,000 of its employees against hospitalisation due to COVID-19. Inversely, however, Teleperformance, a business support firm, have been lambasted for providing inadequate boarding conditions at their Philippines offices and inadequate sanitary care in its French offices. Though these shortcomings were quickly addressed once press reports surfaced. This trial by media serves to illustrate the negligence of some employers and the public's sensitivity to perceptions of negligence. The Financial Times reported that 43% of 13,000 people surveyed in a global study thought that companies were sufficiently protecting their employees. Public perception during the crisis may be a focal point for business' success post-pandemic. In a survey by Edelman.com, 81% of respondents said that a brand's reaction and behaviour during COVID would influence their future purchasing decisions. Although this would affect client-facing businesses more, it indicates a broader trend for all companies. KPMG has released guidance on retaining a customer-first agenda during the pandemic business era. They present 6 pillars of basic fundamentals for every business to follow in order to provide excellent customer experience. Empathy. Working with customers to defer payments or deliveries of stock will instill a high degree of trust with the business and will be repaid in the form of word-of-mouth marketing. Diageo almost immediately bought back all of their recently sold kegs of beer from publicans in Ireland, so that they would not leave the publicans with unsellable beer going stale in their lines, and relieved a financial burden for them. Personalisation. Understanding the customer's circumstances and working together towards a mutually beneficial solution to issues that arise. This will benefit customer and staff both, giving both a sense of accomplishment and giving a means of moving forward. Time and effort. Making it easy for customers to access meaningful information quickly and painlessly, thus reducing the strain on face-to-face interactions with customer services. Expectations. Setting, managing, and meeting customer expectations accurately in these difficult times. Customers value honesty more than false promises. Resolution. Resolving customer disputes in a timely manner is paramount. Many customers have been faced with cancellations of travel and leisure activities. Their stories are circulating on social media in an outpouring of sorrow. Relieving some of this stress will go a long way with regards to customer retention post-pandemic. Integrity. Doing the right thing. Ensuring the needs of the many are met. Prioritising safety. Protecting the vulnerable. Being seen to act fairly and in your customers' best interests. Forced versus voluntary working from home. For employees who are not used to working from home, there has been a do-it-yourself crash course of learning with regards to office setup, ergonomics, online meetings, paperwork, productivity, responsibility, keeping motivation levels up and keeping morale high. The manager standing on your shoulder has disappeared, and the ability for them to affect the direction of staff has been diminished. For some staff, the subtle influence of their manager's presence during daily office life will have been like a safety net. These workers are the most likely to be feeling panicked or snowed under with work during lockdown, as it can seem like a sink or swim scenario. Others, who receive micromanaging from their manager, will be on somewhat of a high, experiencing a degree of independence. The ability to voluntarily work from home in order to balance family life is a big bonus in most jobs, and is seen as a perk during interviews. When this has been discussed with the manager and is anticipated by the worker, there is a certain level of readiness present in the setting up of the workspace. This has not been experienced throughout the work from home workforce during the pandemic, with some staff working from a kitchen table where the kids do their homework and meals are had, the sitting room couch where the TV is ever temptingly present, or even the bed where napping can prove too seductive for some. None of these places or distractions are conducive to a productive working environment, and they blur the lines of work-life balance too much. Workers who roll out of the bed and straight into working tend not to sleep well and continue working past their normal finishing time due to unproductiveness during the day. These issues take a toll on the worker's mental health and well-being, and ultimately on the business itself. There are a multitude of online HR and monitoring tools that can assist in monitoring productivity, such as Monday.com, IBAT, Sage, the use of internal server monitors through a VPN, and the use of daily video meetings to report on progress and activity. However, a lot of HR staff will not be up to speed on these tools and may misuse them accidentally. From an administrative side, training HR staff on these systems has been tedious and fraught with troubleshooting issues. These issues in turn are then experienced by the rest of the workers who need to use these tools themselves. The simple matter of altering the HR department's modus operandi to include all of this new work is proving difficult as well, with much of it requiring outsourcing due to complexity, which creates a new cost in the HR budget during a year where budgets are contracting. In conclusion, the ability of workers to adapt to change has been the true measure of success of working from home during the pandemic, both in productivity and mental well-being. Some workers have adapted quicker and easier than others, with certain industries taking to the scenario easily and seamlessly. Now that businesses have seen that they can dispense with vast quantities of office space in favour of work-from-home staffing and hot desks, there is likely to be a shift to satellite working in many companies post-pandemic.